Right, it is finally time to start Vagrus, the Riven Realms. Oh, I've been looking forward to this one for a long time. A long time. And yeah, the world just seems to be against it happening, so...
The River Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs.
Jesus.
Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days.
Green fire is never good fire.
The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures.
Hunchbacky.
Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality, arose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image.
That cannot be a good image.
Now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the River Realms.
I like the look of that.
Such a leader
animal
is called
beast thing.
A Vagrus.
Vagrus. Now that's an intro. Right, let's yeah, that all looks fine. Nothing beside remains around the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare. Lone and level sands stretch far away. Ozymandias.
Ah, yes. A Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his Comitatus, eh?
Comitatus.
And you are a Vagrus.
I like that word.
Are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
Okay, so it looks like you can use the controller for some of it, but not all of it. Interesting. Or maybe it's just that I don't get to select that one. No, I want to do play Pilgrims of the Wasteland. But yeah, I can't select it with A.
Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus, such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune.
Wrought.
It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, travelling rough roads and forgotten ways with this Comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west.
Pilgrims of the Wasteland, let's start it. Do like the map. The map's had a lot of effort put into it, it looks cool. This Comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times. Perhaps it was due to imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Hierophants, saint of roads, does not always smile on us mere mortals, but however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrapheap and spend their remaining funds to stock up on the cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without risks either. And this is why I needed to make sure my throat was at least somewhat better. So welcome to Pilgrims of the Wasteland, a standalone story of Vagrus, the Riven realms. It serves as an introduction to the setting and also as a tutorial to the game. It behooves you to read the tutorial text and follow the instructions to gain a better understanding of how the game works. Thank you. That icon can be clicked in tutorial windows to show what the section is referring to via a pointer. Note that you have to be on the right UI screen for the pointer to appear. Although Vagrus is an open world game, due to Pilgrims of the Wasteland being a tutorial, it progresses along a narrow guided path in the beginning and opens up only later, after the core mechanics have been introduced. Access the hotkey list by pressing F11. Okay, so we've got movement up here, supplies, cargo, morale. Getting Banner Saga vibes here. That's good. Always good. Right, so on the campaign map, your Comitatus travelling company always occupies a node and moves between nodes through paths. Moving along paths cost movement points, indicated next to each path. Every in-game day you have a number of movement points to spend before you need to camp. To move, click on a nearby node and select Move from the radial menu. You can select a node that is farther away, the MP cost of moving there will be calculated and the path highlighted. Move to Scrapheap. Alright, so it's additive. Cool, okay. Okay. Move. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from a ridge as your Comitatus slowly trudges along, making its way ponderously among dormant geysers and broken terrain. All around you, the hills smoulder lazily in the perpetual twilight. Are you alright? Javik's voice resonates sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him. Your gaze lost in the distance where ash cloaks the horizon and the towering mountains to the south and west. Turning to your commis, you note his supportive smile. You and Javik have been travelling around the realms together for years now. There is no other person in the world who you trust more than you trust him, except perhaps yourself. I know you feel constrained, but I will still feel like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. I've already changed his voice. Marvellous. Right. So many choices. I like that. Great. Most of the story is presented through interactive text called events. Events let you make different choices at each step. Some choices can have a number of consequences, while others have various dependencies. Dependencies mean that you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisite, skills, perks, characters, and so on. To select a choice, click on it, or use 1 to 9 to select the one you like. Up. choose your own way for the game to kill you. I like to describe Banner Saga, and I get a feeling this is going to be quite the same. So time will tell, but I still have my doubts. It's a long shot and you know it, or there wasn't much of a choice. Either this or returning my trading license and hanging myself. It has to work. We cannot fail. Not like this. Thank you, but the last thing I need right now is a clumsy pep talk, even if it's well meant. Well, I'm not going to be a dick about things, because generally that's not how I play things through first time. One thing I like to do is play it as if it was me. This one. It has to work. We cannot fail, not like this. Glance at Javik and notice the worried look he's giving you. You turn away, back towards the horizon. No reason to be crestfallen yet. We just stick to the plan. Why should it not work? You know that there could be hundreds of reasons, but do not feel like reminding him. Yes, the plan. It may work, yes. When text in an event is highlighted pale blue, it means that you have found a codex entry. Clicking these opens codex and navigates you to the entry. So the plan. You talked your travelling company into this a few weeks ago, but with each step towards the Western Mountains, more and more of them started to have doubts. Such is the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrapheap, stocking up on said metal by spending the rest of your coin and bringing the cargo down south along the molten tongue to Devon via Avernum and Ash. There's a shortage of metal in Devon, and you know several buyers who'd give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it there before many others with a similar cargo do. Such contracts are the boon of decades spent on the road, but even if Narbo, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in Scrapheap, the road is not without its risks. Sneaking through the gap between the dead forest and the molten tongue is inviting disaster, so it's not a path many Vagri would take. Of course, if this fails, you've utterly run out of alternatives. Do you think Narbo will help us out? The old scavenger was never famous for his goodwill, Javik wonders. Yeah, I'm going to go with 3. He has to help us out. He won't be able to pass up the opportunity to make us indebted to him. Even the thought of selling yourself out in such a way makes you feel dirty, as well it should. Ah, right, I need to actually click on. Codex is a collection of entries you find throughout your travels. Entries contain information about the world and its inhabitants. When you've unread entries, the crystal on the cover of the closed codex emanates light. Entries are displayed in a list on the left. You can search entries and filter them by category using the buttons on the top. Unread entries are marked by a blue icon and appear on top, which already read entries have a gold icon. Text of the selected entry appears on the right. Information in the codex is supplementary. It is there for those who wish to learn more about the Riven realms. I love when games do this sort of thing. Like the sort of thing, I mean, Mass Effect had something where you could read about all the planets that you went to and all the species and everything. Yeah, I love that. I love being able to look through it and read it. Obviously stuff I wouldn't do during a video, but I do want to learn more about this this world. These are dark times and call for desperate deeds, but such thoughts make me really uncomfortable, to be honest. Eric rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You've seen this expression of his too often, not to realise he's using his sorcerer's talent to read your mind. Taking a peek. Apologies. Javik quickly rubs his eyes and looks away briefly. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud, Vagrus. I have to actually block them, you see. After joining your Comitatus 6 years ago, Javik proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, but he's also able to subtly manipulate others when he focuses his inner energies. It comes very handy when doing business. There's other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of many beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrent. Yet, because he's not a trained sorcerer, at least not in the traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You become accustomed to his impromptu thought scans, while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities a secret for many years overall. But you can't keep a secret such as his in this close-knit community of a Comitatus, especially not if you keep bursting minds and knowing things you shouldn't. So there are only a handful of your commies who put up with him being near him for long. But even so, he hasn't probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he's less in control now, which suggests he's more on edge about this whole trip than he lets show. Yeah, I'm not going to grumble on. Apology accepted. You manage a faint smile. Let us return to the others and push on. There's still a day's travel ahead of us. Both of you walk down to the Comitatus and join the column. Now we go back to the Comitatus. As we were coming up to the gates of Scrapheap, as we were coming up to the gates of Scrapheap, this trash pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shafted Thar looming ominously over the horizon, half shrouded in the gaseous vapours belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do the business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry about in this notorious place. Yeah, I should be doing all the reading actually, that's right. Hold space. Right, let's now go to Scrapheap. At the foot of the ever-fuming mountains of the ancient dwarven kingdom lies Scrapheap, the town of scavengers. Debris and junk is piled into veritable hills upon which the rickety homes of the decrepit inhabitants stand. Ash lingers everywhere and the sun is almost always absent from the twilight skies. Deals are struck day and night over the precious metal scraps gathered in the ruins of nearby Defendar Thar, while the Heat King oversees all from his dreaded tower. Soot-covered faces watch from under ash-laden awnings. Life is cheaper than iron here, some say. So to track down Narbo, can he be convinced to help you out? When a Comitatus enters a settlement, you can select from a variety of options, each of it on its separate pane, revolving around resting, resupplying and trading. You also have the opportunity to initiate stories located in the settlement. This time only the story pane is active, follow the only available story. You make your way to Wraith's Stash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street just behind the imposing tower of the Heat King, not quite under its immense shadow. Not many frequent this establishment, which makes it perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Apparently, the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the past decade or so. Taking only Javik, you leave the Comitatus to the care of Titus, your quartermaster, while you're gone negotiating. Ash is flitting from the black sky as you cross the street and nod to the bouncer of the Wraith's Stash. Give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce it. Yet they have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger. And of course they have no idea what Javik is capable of should it come to a scuffle. Not that you expect such a thing, but with Narbo, one never knows. Though you've told your crew that him and you go way back, the entrepreneur is a capricious and manipulative man with whom you did not part on the best of terms last time. Does he remember that? Surely. Could he be persuaded to take your proposal? Who knows? Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and a lamp at the bar illuminates the common room. Shadowy faces turn toward you and observe you through the thick smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man in a dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs a skeleton of a large heap lizard on display. Narbo is sitting at a table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness at the wall behind him. Let's just walk over the bar. The bartender stifles a belch and nods his greetings. What can I do for you? Do you for? Ray grabs an earthenware mug, suggests that you would probably do best to order something. You glance at Javik briefly before paying for 2 rounds of a local mushroom brew called Ash Tongue. It is somewhat less loathsome than you imagined. Leaning over your drink, you quietly tell the barman that you're here to see Narbo. Ah, you know, he is doing calculations, and he don't like to be bothered when he's doing calculations. Indicates Narbo at the corner table with a nod. The entrepreneur is indeed busy poring over a stack of papers and fiddling with the calculus. Wait until he's done with his papers, at least you'll finish your beer. While sipping your beer, you chat with the bartender. Most of it is boring small talk, but when the conversation turns into a discussion of local prices, you notice Javik's stern expression and the small hand gesture he makes. This is a signal the two of you have been using for a long time now, indicating that he's gleaned something from the surface thoughts of the man. 1 minute later, the bartender goes to the back to check on the kitchen. Javik leans closer. Apparently, there's a supplier of meat and mushrooms that has a surplus on his hands he wants to get rid of quickly. Can't help but smile and nod. This could save you quite a lot of coin. Also, your friend Narbo seems to be having some trouble with the package. In his mind, it is a constant frustration in connection to the Heap King. You nod at Javik and notice how the sleazy merchant has stopped fiddling with the calculus and is now listlessly looking at some papers. It is time. So we walk over to Narbo's table. The entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers in front of him and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old burns. That, coupled with the withered and mutated left arm that hangs limp at his side, is a clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears a leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lean man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather strips, moves his hand calmly to a spear that leans against the wall. Narbo's mouth falls open as the spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder, it's been 10 years. The fuck, mate? He blinks. I thought you croaked. People, Narbo waves his good hand around and looks at his bodyguard. Told tales of your demise. Man finishes his sentence for him as the merchant nods vehemently. That business with the Kernak house and the storm, Narbo adds. Tell him that you were indeed at Kernak when the terrible arcane storm struck. Describe the horrors of that night briefly. You had how many of your original Comitatus died there? Close friends, old travelling companions? But you walked away unscathed. This was years ago. Sheesh, that fucker Athorn's looked after you something fierce, eh? Narbo chuckles heartily. But I'm sure you haven't come to reminisce about old times, eh? His predatory smile makes you cautious, even though he invites you to sit down with a casual wave of his meaty hand. As one or two, we can either apologise, start the conversation off alright. Although he did say, I'm sure you haven't come to reminisce about good old times. So we could just we're just going to get right down to business. Tell Narbo to let bygones be bygones and instead listen to what you have got to offer now. You got some bold coming here, all business and bold? After a tense moment, his stern expression turns into a toothless smile. I like it. Bodyguard visibly becomes less tense. Narbo opens his arms wide and bows his head. Let's hear it, mate. You breathe in. Time to outline your proposition. Some choices have dependencies, meaning you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisite. Some choices involve tests that can be failed or succeeded with different consequences. Perks, characters, and resources can change the chance of success in tests. Test difficulty is represented by a number between 1 and 100 that you need to roll equal to or below. I like that. So in case you hadn't realised, this is a whole lot of talking, a whole lot of reading, a whole lot of listening to me. I like that prospect, personally. Lets me bust out lots of voices. You explain to Narbo how you want to give him to give you a discount on a shipment of metal scraps, which you then would smuggle into Devon through contacts you have in the city's underworld. Once sold, the profit of the shipment would be quite exquisite. You Do not name your contact, but divulge enough of her that the plan seems solid. Buyers, you say, are lining up, expecting the shipment soon. Narbo sits in silence, eyes fixed on the table as if listening to some noise from afar. Does not cut you off any time during your proposition. At length, after you're done, he looks up and gives you a weak smile. That sounds like you've been thinking about a long time about it, he says as he shifts in his chair. And it's a great plan, except for the part where I give you a discount for your asking and not much else. And I don't do that, mate. That would make me, what? An almoner, the bodyguard adds discreetly. That would? Narbo looks up at him. The man nods, he turns back to you. Aye, an almoner. See, I'm no almoner. No, you got to do better than that. What you got for me? Tell him that we'll be in his debt. He'll make a tidy profit as it is, but you'll owe him a favour. My words are failing me already. Chance of success. Persuasion 15%, charismatic 6%. Remind him that the two of you used to make a great team and this could rekindle that partnership. Feel that you're in a bad spot and it's your last chance. Well, no chance are we doing that on. I know that in exchange for his help, you'll help him out with the problem he might have right now. Yeah, let's do that one. Narbo's jaw drops when you insinuate that you know about his little problem. Fuck me, mate, you're a bit connected than I thought. Oh, you have something up your sleeve, Merchant says as he eyes Javik suspiciously. For a while he's quiet, then he looks up and narrows his eyes. Tell you what, I think we can help each other. You headed to Devon by the way of Avernon, yeah? Aye? When you nod, Narbo leans closer and signals his bodyguard. The man with the dreadlocks steps closer and carefully produces a small packet from beneath his leather jerkin, then puts it into the merchant's palm. This here little fella that you might have heard is mighty important to me, see? If you take this out of the city and deliver it to my associate in Avernham, we're even. You get your discount scrap from me. Merchant offers you the package. Javik draws in breath, but before he can speak, Narbo interrupts him. And before pretty boy here asks, no, I won't tell you what's in it, and I don't even think about opening the package. What I can say is it ain't dangerous to you itself, but you might want to keep it hidden from the damn militia of good old Scrapheap. Take the package. The way Narbo stares at you makes it clear you have no other choice. This might just be the opportunity you hope for. So the only reason we got that opportunity was because we sat and didn't interrupt him. I like it. And if we hadn't done that, we'd have had to have passed a persuasion check. Seriously. This is ticking so many of my boxes, it's brilliant. The package is small enough to fit your palm. It feels very light and is wrapped in fine leather. You pocket it after briefly observing it. You'll be looking for a man named Scornar in Avernham. You ain't to be trifled with either. Just tell him I sent you and you'll be fine. You can find him or his men in Lavernus's waterhole most of the time. Give this little fella to him and to him only. Understand? After you assure him you do, Narbo instructs you to give him an hour. Then look for his people at the market and simply introduce yourself. They'll know what price on the metal scraps they should give you by then. He motions to his man. You and Javik stand up and make ready to leave. Bravo here will take you to the back exit. We don't want to give people the idea that they can come here to beg for almonds now, do we? Or anyone to connect us and run to the militia for that matter. You got what you came for, so you leave. The Wrath stash through the back entrance and head back to the Comitatus. Your journal located in the bottom left is now active. It is your means to follow stories and tasks. Open your journal now by clicking the book in the bottom left hand corner. That one, right, go. I like this whole, it's our codex down there, that'll be our journal down there, and this is telling us weeks and days and months and all that. Journal allows you to view your quests, tasks and other related information. You can search for entries, search field, and filter them on the top left. Entries are separated into objectives and qualities into their respective panes. Objectives are quests and ongoing stories. The text of a selected list item appears on the right. These describe the quest or task and provide active objectives. Unread entries have a blue exclamation mark icon and appear on top, while already read entries are marked by gold dots, green check mark, or a red crossed circle. Qualities can be statuses, gathered information, secrets, and so on. Unread entries have a blue exclamation mark, while already read entries are marked by a gold circle. Tasks are non-narrative missions and goals you can complete for reward. There are several types, like trade opportunities or mercenary work, but right now you can only find passengers here. Passengers have to be taken to their destination, where they will compensate you for your trouble. Be careful, because sometimes passengers will leave if you take too long to get to their destination. Yep. All the boxes. So we have a package we need to deliver, and we've got the shipment as well that we need to buy 40 metal scraps at the market. Deliver the wandering old man to Ash. Are we going anywhere near Ash? Okay, it doesn't look as though it's going to let me take it. Okay. Market pane is now active. Navigate to the market pane by clicking on the scales icon. Right, so that's what I was talking about, the stories bit there. Market pane displays the available goods you can buy at the settlement's market on the right hand and opens your cargo pane on the left. Buy goods from the market or sell your own goods from your cargo hold here. Buying or selling, buy or sell one increment only by clicking on the buy or sell button next to the listed goods. Holding shift and clicking the buy or sell buttons buys a whole stack or sell. Drag and drop the icon for buying or selling stacks of goods. Holding shift and clicking the icon opens a window where you can specify the quantity you want to buy. So we need to get 40 scrap and supplies that will last 10 days. Your supplies last for 2 days that we have currently. It's not very good now, is it? Cool, and you can actually click on the image of your Comitatus to actually select specific parts. That's kind of cool. Right, so we need to buy at least 40. That done. Right, we've actually got a sizable amount of money. Equipment that you can attach to the Comitatus is sold in some markets or found throughout your travels. To provide bonuses and upgrades, you can switch between the market of goods and equipment using the buttons over the list of items in the market pane. Awnings. What do they do? Minus 25% worker consumption. Equipment you own are in a pool below the Comitatus illustration. In order to gain the bonuses, you need to equip them first by dragging and dropping them into an appropriate slot. On the illustration, equipment can only be placed in a slot that matches its type, except that equipment of any type can be placed into the miscellaneous slot. You can unequip equipment by dragging it back to the list. Cool. Alright, so it's not going to it doesn't glow, but because it's in here, we can drag it there. Items, the third type of cargo, do not take up cargo space and are not equipable. They are used and traded in certain events. You can switch panes in the settlement, and the active pane will open the corresponding pane of the Comitatus management on the left. Now freely check the settlement tabs. Done exploring, click the arch icon to leave the scrap heap. Once you leave, you cannot come back to this place in Pilgrims of the Wasteland, so be sure to do everything you want before venturing forth. Okay. No, I don't want to leave yet. Let's stroll the market district. You and Javik roam in the dingy market district right below the great heap upon which the Tower of the Heap King is built. Ash-covered awnings and dirty stalls line the labyrinthine streets with stiflingly narrow alleys and tiny squares in between them. Sometimes it's difficult to tell a shop from a dilapidated scrap home, and for a good reason. Most people who live here are also merchants to some extent. Even though the Heap King's militia is here to keep peace, you can't help but notice all the shifty gazes from the deplorable types aimed at you. Find a merchant who's selling the cheap supplies. It's not very difficult to find a man with cheap supplies. Javik remembers his face from the memories he saw in the innkeeper's mind, so it's only a matter of time until he recognises the merchant. Man looks quizzically at you after you tell him you know of his surplus of dried mushrooms, meat slowly going bad on his hands, but does not ask questions. In the end, you manage to haggle for half price. Yeah, that's it. Oh, 32 supplies. Right, so we're going to try and find the Dwarven Curiosities hidden in an alley from years ago. Right, so is that... All shop is still there at the end of a serpentine alley opening from a tucked away square on the south side of the market district. Standing outside of it, you notice how it's in a much worse shape than you remember. Inside, the decrepit scrap shack is an equally unkempt young fellow who hails you with a jolly smile. The shop looks empty. A short conversation reveals that he's the son of the man who used to run this place. His father never came back from a forage into Dwarven ruins a month ago. Unfortunately, I don't have Dad's expertise in dwarves. Neither am I the adventurous sort. So by now, I've sold all his remaining stock, and I'm closing up shop soon. Then I'm off and away from Scrapheap for good. Go south, maybe to them Dragonlands, says, scratching his beard. Talk a bit about Dwarven culture and his father's obsession with their forgotten technological wonders. You're about to say goodbye when he slaps his forehead. I still have something here that a Vagrus such as yourself might be interested in. Fishes a small brass compass out of his pocket and hands it to you. It's masterwork, no doubt, sporting runes and detailed etchings on the side. He's willing to sell it to you for a token price. His dad is not going to be happy. That's that done. Sure, we'll take a look at local prices and goods. After spending an hour looking at wares, you realise that there's nothing here you'd fork out coins for. Of course, there are a lot of useful things, but you want to keep the rest of your purse intact should you run into difficulties on the road ahead. Also, there's a veritable army of cut purses working at the market, and though so far you've managed to outsmart them, staying here would tempt fate too much. Time to leave the market. We'll walk up to the tower. Walking up to the great keep to the immense tower is a daunting task. Up on the hill it is even more difficult to breathe in than in the ash-choked city at its feet. A hot wind blows from the south. Every step is slow torture. By the time you reach the gates of the tower, your chest is heaving. You keep coughing up soot. Before you rises the Tower of the Heap King, ruler of the trash pile of a town. The whole structure is cobbled together from scrap, with the lower levels covered in metal sheets. A huge bonfire of yellow-white flame burns on its top level day and night. A beacon for the scavenging teams to follow home. Looking nigh impregnable, the fortress has only one entrance. A small group of guards sneer malevolently at you as you approach. "Better turn back if you had no business here, vagabond." the ranking gatekeeper says from under a mask attached to his bronze skull cap. I'm just going to go back to the impregnable. I can't not think of bronze line in Game of Thrones when I see impregnable now, or hear impregnable. Just hi, it's amazing how one good line can ruin a word for you. Nothing to say that would gain entry. I don't have an invitation. Ask where we could acquire an invitation. Perhaps you could try licking more arsehole and see where it gets ya. One of the guards says out loud. A round of applause and guffaws follows. The ranking guard does not laugh, but does nothing to reprimand them either. My duty is to stop anyone without official business to enter, not to educate them where to get a pass, he says and walks back to the others. Okay, back we go. Right, Dwarven compass. Yep. What's that going to do? +1 max movement. Lovely. Good thing I went by there. Wait, I thought... No, that's clearly not where we get that. Oh, it was. Jesus, we bought it for one of those. Yeah, one Ross. And it's worth 1.2 of the Daraka. Nice, I'll take that. Where did we see the... I can't remember where we saw the dude. Yeah, the guy that we could, it's an old guy. Nah, I've forgotten. Ah, there we go. Right, go. We already, oh right, we've already got how much ship that means. Looking for the hidden shop, but did we find it? Interesting. Anyway, let's go. With all your business here concluded, packed up and restocked on supplies, you finally make ready to leave the decrepit town of Scrapheap behind in the morning. Spend the night within a guarded compound. It's not free though. It's out at dawn, ashes flitting from the sky and the distant mountains rumble ominously in the morning twilight as your Comitatus reaches the west gate of the town. Almost immediately, you notice the guardsmen and militia at the gates are working in groups, questioning and inspecting travellers. Even if they are looking for the package Narbo gave you, you realise that there is a minuscule chance of finding it among several departing caravans, all made up of dozens of people, respectively. Besides, the packet is tiny and well hidden at the bottom of a sack of dried mushrooms. A robed magistrate of the Heap King appears to coordinate the search effort, picking out people or whole travelling groups for inspection. As your Comitatus draws near, it takes only a passing glance from him to appraise you and your crew before he motions to the guards to let you through. Quietly pass under the gate and out into the broken wastelands. Comitatus is well on its way, and Scrapheap is a mere dot on the horizon by the time Javik joins you at the front of the line. Just like I said, you made the right choice with this venture. Talk of how you may have saved us all is spreading like wildfire, he says with a faint smile. Of course, we do have to make it alive all the way to Devon with the cargo, but it's a good start, don't you think? Agreed. There may be hope left for the Comitatus after all. Well, I'm sure it will be fine. It's not like we started this with this business yesterday. With that, you both go back to your own duties and the constant monitoring of the horizon. If all goes well, you'll reach the Wound in a few days, where you can turn south along the edge of the Molten Tongue and travel down to Avernum. Morale +3. Cool. In Pilgrims of Wasteland, your progress is saved at checkpoints, like it has just been saved now. Also, whenever you leave a settlement, an autosave occurs. Another autosave occurs with each in-game new day. You can load your saved game from the game menu. Cool. So that was Vagrus the Riven Realms. I hope you enjoyed it. The game is still in development, so I'll put a link to the Fig campaign down in the description. Yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying this. So if any of you are interested, you can get access to the early build through Fig. But yeah, let me know what you thought in the comments, and we'll be back with more soon. I've been Bairdos. You guys take it easy, have a good day. Adios.